know we can't find our ancestors on ancestry.com?
It's hard.
Because they're all slaves.
If you're a native, why are you so black? Eyes down, your blackness does not need to be reconciled. No, my blackness does not need to be concealed. Because I am black too. Wow, what an exotic mix. But how native are you? Let's unpack this. I remember hearing the poem, "I'm Not the Indian You Had in Mind" by Thomas King. And I thought to myself, so who is this Indian you have in mind? Questioning our authenticity based on our looks, our blood, is an attempt to categorize us, limit us, hinder us from seeing who we actually are. Deploying ideas of the white man's imaginary Indian to discredit identities. Because maybe perpetuating these ideas helps to get rid of the Indian problem. African descent and native bodies have been captured by, chained in, and then governed by colonialism. Colonizers use our blood as mechanisms in an attempt to degrade us. Through blood quantum, colonial projects to benefit colonizers deployed to either expand or erase, but always to dehumanize, always to make savage. They used the one blood drop rule to displace and expand black bodies. They also continue to erase indigenous peoples through policies that derive from outdated modes of racial purity. Less blood, less authentic, less indigenous. But why would they do that? To steal the land, to continue expropriating, to continue occupying. Today, despite the fact that we, indigenous people in settler colonial Canada, are the fastest growing and youngest demographic, we are quickly approaching, as Pam Palmater says, the legislative extinction of Indians. All they want is our lands. They want something that we cannot give them, making something sacred a commodity. It belongs to all of our relations. We cannot cede and have never ceded the land. Reconcile that, Canada. Sarnia, Ontario. Traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples is where my parents met. My mother, abandoned by her mother, raised by her grandmother in Lucy, Jamaica, late teens, migrants. She was a melanated beauty, bold, confident, determined, daring. And my father, Nahio, 60 scoop child from Lagrange, Saskatchewan, Treaty 6 territory, son of a residential school survivor, artist, father to 6, proudly Cree, lactose intolerant but still eats cheese because he's stubborn. Both survivors of families surviving through hundreds of years of colonization, trauma, and disconnect from their homelands. Both indigenous, both resilience, both dreaming of the best for their children. Those dreams might not always emerge. Colonization soaks deep into the consciousness, instilled racism, colonialist mentality breeding self-hatred. Society forces down our throats that we should hate ourselves. Resist. Meaning my half-sister, who is Ghanaian and Cree, has rekindled the fire inside of me to continue to do what I do. I would like to shift to a world in which my children will not have their identities constantly undermined or made exotic. A world in which they will not have to navigate this double negative of being Black, Indigenous to Africa, and Indigenous to Turtle Island. Where they will not be seen as less Black for their skin pigmentation and lack of melanin blessings, and constantly have their Native identity either denied or regulated by the government through the Indian Act. In a world in which they will not have to prove their innocence, constantly show that they are unarmed, constantly appear unthreatening, acknowledging that being unarmed today is not enough to prove that, and conform to societal standards for them to navigate society safely. And even then, they might not return home alive. Fear of this all and more leads to rejecting thoughts of bringing a child into this world. We are more than our trauma. We resist, we move forward, we love. To my father, healing can take a lifetime. You always have us to call home. To my mother, everything begins and ends with you.